the ladies were asking.
Okay, do you believe in God?
Hello.
No.
Alright, we can debate about this. I'll take the position that God does exist. Alright, I assume you think rape is wrong, right?
Good to see you.
Depends, but yeah.
What does it depend
No,
on?
I can explain this.
Uh-huh.
Okay,
Good to see you.
low-key, I heard this one time. I was like, you know what? That's low-key valid. All these people, they're like against abortions, right?
Good to see you.
No,
Right?
I don't.
All these
Hello.
white women that are against
Good
abortions,
to see you.
right? I hope something really bad happens to them, and then they're forced to carry the baby, and then they get to see how terrible it is.
You hope that they get raped?
Not actually, no.
Good to see you.
Say what?
No, not actually.
Hello.
No,
Okay,
it's a bad
so again, I assume you think rape is wrong, right?
thing. Yes.
Okay, can you tell me how you know that absent God?
Hmm?
Can you tell me how you know rape is wrong if God doesn't exist?
Hey.
I think as a human, there is a belief that you should not do harm to
Good to
other
see you.
humans.
Okay, so you're saying
Hello.
rape is harm because it does harm. So
Good to see
can you tell me how you know if
Frank.
God? Wait, hold on, Ruby, don't say anything. So that being said, yeah, can you tell me how you know causing harm to people is wrong?
Hey.
It's like a
to
basic
see
biological
you.
thing.
Hey.
Yeah,
You
so
see other people as friendly.
yeah, so you okay?
Hello.
All right, go ahead. I mean, is that it or is it
Like,
biology?
most species will not cause like harm to their species, you know,
Hey.
intentionally.
Yeah, so when you say it's a basic biological thing, this is a logical fallacy called an appeal to nature fallacy. Just because like our bodies have the disposition against pain doesn't necessarily tell us whether or not causing pain to people is morally good or bad. Science can only prove things that are in the physical world. Morality is metaphysical in concept, right? So this appeal to
Yes, I
nature
agree that-
fallacy. Hold on, wait, let me finish. This appeal to
Hello.
nature fallacy doesn't actually work. You have to actually articulate an actual argument.
Okay, I agree with you. However, right? Hear me out on this one. We use that to what's good and wrong, right? Like, do we not use nature to determine what is correct or wrong?
No, that's a fallacy. That's appeal to nature fallacy. No. Like I said, morality is going to be metaphysical. If we're talking about what is moral, this is going to be like a meta-ethical or normative-ethical or philosophical question, not a scientific question. That's a logical
Yes,
fallacy.
Hello.
I get what the difference between morality and like.
Okay, so you can't just say that like because like we have the
No, I know. I get
okay,
what
so
you're
you
saying. I'm
can't
just curious,
say
like,
we
how
have the
would you prove your
biological
morality then?
disposition. Say what?
Yo, I got a question.
Hello.
Well, hold on. What I'm still presenting like a rational inquiry. You still haven't answered the question of how you know rape is wrong, absent God.
My personal belief, I find harm of others wrong.
Okay, so if you have another person who said harming others is good, how do we know who's right, who's wrong? What do you have to be wrong?
No, you don't.
Yes,
Thanks,
because it
Daniel.
violates the law of not. There's three laws of logic, right? Of classical logic. There's going to be the law of excluded middle, the law of identity, and the law of non-contradiction. Law of non-contradiction dictates that A can't also equal not A, right? So if somebody says rape is good and the other person that says rape is bad, one of you has to be wrong. Otherwise, it contradicts. So how do we know who's right and who's wrong?
Do you like being
Your
raped? Is the
logic-
question.
No. Wouldn't your logic also imply that everything has to be one way or the other?
What? No,
Like
there's
100%
three rules.
one way or the 100% the other way?
No, there's three rules of logic, right? It's this particular view that one of you or both of you are right violates the law of non-contradiction. Those are the three rules of logic.
Well, neither of you are right and neither of you are wrong.
Well,
Right?
well,
Same way, like,
no.
in
If
science,
somebody,
we have like
if somebody says rape is good and the other person says rape is bad, one of you has to be wrong.
Good to see you.
you don't. It's the same
Well,
way in science.
Well, no, it's not the same way as science because that's not how that works, dog. It's either good or it's either bad. Like, which one is it? You can't say it's both. That violates the law of non-contradiction. A can't equal not A. It has to be good or bad.
Nobody's saying that A equals not A. People are saying you can choose A or B.
Well, no, exactly. That's the point. So you can't say that we're both right because they contradict each other. You can't both be right with two opposing beliefs. That literally makes no sense.
Okay, so then continue with your argument then.
Okay,
How does
well, I
that
haven't
relate to
asked it.
religion?
I haven't presented an argument. I've asked you, how do you know who's right and who's wrong? If one person says rape is good and one person says rape is bad, absent God, who's right and who's wrong?
Neither is right, neither is wrong. I've said that.
Neither is right and neither is wrong. That's that. That. What do
You want me
you?
to say I'm right? Is the bait that like I'm right?
Well, I need you to actually like answer the question, because saying neither is right and neither is wrong is also going to violate the law of non-contradiction. This implies that either both of them are right or both of them are wrong. So again, who is right? Who's wrong? Say what?
Just curious.
Say what?
I actually am not very familiar with these laws. Can you explain these laws to me?
Yeah, so there's going to be, if you search up like classical logic, there's going to be different theories of logic, right? There's fuzzy logic, there's paraconsistent logic, there's classical logic, and then most
No, I know,
people,
but like, who discovered this
Good to
logic?
see you.
well, you could argue that like logic, like what do you call it, is going to be discovered like objectively, right? Like logic is just going to be.
How is it discovered objectively though? If it's not
Yeah,
like
sure. So
concrete
like,
test?
well, because it couldn't have been any other way.
Hello.
Well, yes, it could have. You
Hello
just
there.
like by your own
Good to see
opinion,
you.
you just stated that you have an opinion on whether or not logic
I,
is correct. or
I
wrong.
I never said anything about an opinion.
Yes, you did. You inadvertently said you have an opinion.
Hey.
No, I didn't. I never said opinion.
Yes, you did.
The word opinion never came out of my mouth ever. You're lying.
Sure. Sure. But like we can
Hello.
paraphrase, right?
No,
We didn't
I never
paraphrase,
said.
we would
I
never
never
be
said
able
an
to advance with
opinion. I said.
civilization.
Well, no, I never said an opinion. I said the rules of classical
Hey.
logic.
Good to see you.
Okay, yes. Who discovered
Hey.
classical logic?
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, I haven't looked that far yet, but it doesn't matter. How's that relevant?
Hello.
Because whoever discovered classical logic, right, is displaying their beliefs on logic.
Well, what other rules of logic are there? How is this wrong?
None, because the rules of logic aren't like an inherent thing.
Well,
There's
then
dead
you
set
can't.
rules of
Then you
logic.
can't. That makes no sense. Then you can't logically.
I can look at the laws of gravity and go, these are laws of gravity, right? This is what gravity does. This is how we understand it.
Dog,
No,
you can't.
use
If
the
you're
laws of
saying you're
arguments,
arguing
right?
that
It's a
logic,
belief
you're
system.
arguing that logic doesn't exist because it was made. Like you're implying that it was made or
No,
discovered
I'm
by
not
somebody
arguing
else.
That logic doesn't exist. I'm arguing that your opinion on how logic works.
But this isn't an
is a
opinion.
belief.
Hey.
It's kind of like an opinion.
Well, no, it's not. I just
Paraphrasing your
looked up.
belief.
Well, no, this isn't
say
a
a
dog.
belief is an opinion?
No, dog. This isn't a belief. If you Google the definition of classical logic, it's propositional logic that's just gonna break down into law of excluded middle, law of identity, and law of non-contradiction. This is philosophy 101, dog. Like you don't have any understanding of Phil Sci 101 or anything like this. Like I don't understand why you're like trying to refute something that's just been understood for centuries. This isn't like a opinion. What are you talking about? This is classical propositional logic.
Okay, I hear you, right? I am listening. I'm just confused how we can discover logic, right? Discover these laws of logic, right? Find these laws of logic
Mhm.
that have to be true about all logic, right?
Yes. Well, no, not all logic, because there's just going to be
Believe in them
different.
or no?
Well, for the sake of the context of this conversation, yes, that's what everybody uses. Yeah, everybody uses these three rules in the day-to-day lives. Yeah.
Okay, where's the evidence that everybody uses them?
Well, I mean, like, do you think that a contradicting belief can like withstand rational inquiry? Do you think that a contradictory like proposition can withstand rational inquiry? Oh, really? Okay, well then tell me who's right and who's wrong between the person who says rape is good and the other person that says rape is
Can I
bad.
answer this question?
Well, no, I wanna hear from the person who says that a contradictory belief can withstand rational inquiry. So then tell me who's right and who's wrong between somebody who says rape is good and the other person who says rape is bad.
He's rage baiting you, bro.
I'm not rage baiting anything. This is a debate. Rage
He's
baiting for
rage baiting
children.
you. He's just making
Oh
you
wait, he's rage
mad.
baiting me? Oh, okay. Well then you can answer the question, yeah.
Okay. Have you ever met anybody that says like being raped is good? Like
Well-
they just enjoy being raped?
Okay, well, hold on. I can just say no, but what you're doing here is not an argument, because I would just be proposing like a hypothetical. Hypothetically, if you don't believe in God and somebody said rape is good, how do you know that they're wrong?
Where's the evidence? Wait, okay. The God thing? Where's the evidence that God's real?
Well, I can get to that, right? That's just gonna be like brought forth by like an argument that I'm gonna present, but I haven't presented an argument yet because I'm still trying to like square off your belief, but you haven't like actually like kind of like articulated it properly. So once again, like if somebody says rape is good, how do you know that they're wrong?
Because I don't know how to word this. Most people don't enjoy rape, so why would that be good? Unless
Well,
you're like some freaky ass person.
Right. Okay. So what if it was the case that there are people who enjoyed raping people? Why should we like value one person's dislikes over another person's likes?
Because if you're harming somebody to get what you want, that's not good.
Right. So we go back to the harm principle. So once again, I'm just gonna ask you, how do you know harming people is wrong? You still have to solve this question.
Okay.
Yeah. So
think
what's
on
the
that.
answer? How do you know that harming people is wrong absent God?
How do you know that it's wrong with God?
Well, hold on. We can get to my argument, but like that doesn't
No, no,
you
no, no,
asking
no, no, no.
you asking me a question doesn't answer my question.
Yes, but you're also not answering my question.
Well, because I'm not done with my rational inquiry. Well, you can go with your inquiry next, but like you still have to answer mine. You still haven't squared out a
Can I have my
belief.
inquiry first then?
No.
How do you know specifically that?
Hold on,
that
wait.
harming
Can you
somebody-
answer my question? Once again, how do you know that causing harm to people is wrong? You still haven't answered this question. You guys are just running away from it.
Okay,
Because I mean, we just all know, like, all of us together just know that harming somebody
Yeah,
is bad.
Dami
I
Mommy,
mean,
this isn't an argument because this is just a logical fallacy. You would be appealing to either common belief or majority, right? When you say we all know X thing to be true, doesn't actually make X thing to be true. Because if you have a society of 100,000 people that said rape is good, and you have a society of 100,000 people that says rape is bad, both societies will say, well, we all know this thing to be true. Like, you're not actually articulating an argument, you're just increasing the numbers of the people who believe a certain thing, to which I'm just going to ask you, okay, which society is wrong and which society is right? You're just increasing the numbers. That doesn't actually answer the question. You have to actually articulate how you know it's wrong absent God. Yeah, I know, it's hard. So anyways, how do you know rape is wrong absent God? And they leave. They just left. They just left. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, that's funny.